All right, man. We are here. We have made it. All right, let's get this. Make sure
We,
everything's up and rolling.
we made it.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay. Right here.
Sweet. All righty. I think we are good. Everything sound good. Everything sound grand. I'm gonna double check one thing. And yep. All righty. We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Heel Brothers podcast. Today, we are looking at the App State North Carolina matchup this Saturday. I think it's a 5:15 kickoff. North Carolina's at home, first home game of the year. But first things first, we've got some stuff to take care of before we can even get in App State. Unfortunately, it seems the NCAA today, as we all know, that TEZ Walker has been ruled ineligible ever since the 1st of August, I believe it was. Right around the 1st of August, they deemed him ineligible to play this season due to being, quote unquote, a two-time transfer. The North Carolina Tar Heels have put in an appeal. They sat on eggshells for 3 to 4 weeks until last Thursday before the South Carolina game. It was, denied then, and then they put in a final appeal, which was heard today. Today is September the 7th, and it again was denied. So this would deem him ineligible for the complete season. And the only thing that's left for him to do at this point in time is for TEZ Walker, not the university, not the team, anything. TEZ Walker now has to take, if he chooses to, take legal action towards the NCAA and whatever lawsuit that I don't know how that works. I don't know what all they would do there, but Alan, I'm going to let you start off today with your thoughts and opinions on this. I'll let you roll as you want to, and then I'll just kind of piggyback off of you once you're done here. What you think about TEZ Walker and the final appeal being denied?
Man, I mean, I don't know how many people spend time on X, but sometime around the time that TEZ Walker's appeal was supposed to be started, the NCAA dropped this big propaganda video about, we're here for the, if you're on X, you see it, big propaganda video. We're here for the students. We're about the students, students this, students that, blah, 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 blah. So when they dropped that video, I was like, maybe TEZ Walker has a chance. The hours progressed from 10:30 to 12:30 to 12:30 to 1:30, so on and so forth, until about, I think I saw the news probably 20 minutes before 4 that TEZ
Yeah,
Walker's
that's
appeal
about the
had
time I
been
saw it as well.
TEZ Walker's appeal had been denied, and honestly, I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe it. Everything that the NCAA said that they was changing about their policies, they just absolutely said, "No, we're good. He's going to ride. They don't care. We're going to stand with what everybody else has told you before. You can just pound sand. It doesn't matter what he's done, where he came from. Um, he put on a jersey for spring practice for North Carolina Central, so therefore, basically, he was part of that program and the transfer to Kent State. Even though they didn't have a football season in the fall, they didn't have a football season in the spring, and so he transferred to Kent State. That was his one-time free. So then, since he's not an undergraduate, but since he's not a graduate, if you're a graduate transfer, well, you can just hop from any school you want to. You can go from North Carolina to West Virginia, to Colorado, Colorado to US. It doesn't matter. You can go anywhere. I mean, just ask the guy from NC State. Has 8 years. He's had 8 years of eligibility. Ask the running back from Colorado. He's eligible. It's all well and good, but man, I don't know, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pissed off as a fan. I wanted to see what Drake May and TEZ Walker could do together. So, yeah, I'm pissed off in that aspect, but I'm more let down that the organization that before the couple years ago made millions off of these kids, and now the NIL is a wild west and the transfers are the wild west. And 3 days after Tez Walker starts classes, the NCAA is saying we're gonna change the way this stuff works. Well, how about that? You don't care until it's time to care, then everything's retroactive for certain individuals, not all individuals. So I'm more bummed out for Tez because now what he's gonna waste an entire year of his life for what reason? I mean, he could have stayed at Kent State, graduated, and then went 5 more other colleges if he wanted to.
No, or the NFL. He's a
or
high
the NFL.
prospect.
That's what I do. That's what I do. I'd just go to the NFL. He's fast enough. He's big enough. Why not? Just go.
Yeah, his combine numbers would be awesome.
There's an attorney out there that just wants to say "fuck you" to the NCAA and takes up his case and just does everything in his power just to rip brick by brick the NCAA down. Because at this point, what is the NCAA good for besides a basketball tournament?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how this works. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand all this stuff. But I wonder what would happen if UNC did just throw Tez Walker out there. What would happen? What would really happen? Truthfully, would they suspend? Would they suspend the football program for the rest of the year? Would they do? I mean, what would they do? Because then at that point in time, now you've got a university saying bump you. Evidently, not only did Kent State send in a waiver, but UNC Central also recently over the past week sent in one as well. They sent in something to NCAA stating that, hey, he's cool. He didn't do anything here. He didn't get a chance to play here. He's good. So I'm wondering, if they could do that. I just, obviously, I highly doubt that they ever would. But, it's just a cause for thought. But no, honestly, dude, this is beyond ridiculous at this point in time. It's absolutely beyond ridiculous. Not only was it done twice, it was done 8 times. He was denied 8 times. Yeah. 8 times they've had a chance to rectify the situation, and they didn't do it. Why? God knows why. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't get it. The NCAA is a joke. I think we can all understand that at this point in time. Yeah, you're good for one thing, and that's a basketball tournament. And that's it. That's all they're good for at this point in time. The NCAA has shown an inconsistency to stand by their own motto, their own mantra. Everybody said that Charlie Baker, when he comes in, he's going to be different. Even he said, "Oh, well, we're different. This is a new NCAA. You smell and you look just like the other ones."
Same old. Is NCAA. Just same old crap.
It's the same thing over and over again. And I don't get it personally. I don't understand why in the world that the NCAA is allowed to just do this and dictate, this player gets to do this player gets to do that. I was kind of talking about earlier. There was a player that transferred from somewhere to Jackson State this year, and then Dion
the running back the running back for Colorado. But it's Colorado, and I mean, Colorado had 40 transfers come in, 40.
Yeah.
Because I have nothing against Deion Sanders. I'm happy that Deion Sanders, he's probably the hottest coach in college football right now.
I agree with that.
It's prime time. That's fine. I have nothing against him. I have nothing against the program. But what is good for the goose should be good for the gander. If Savion, whatever it is, and I don't care, Wilkerson, if he can play football currently for Colorado, then Tez Walker has no reason why he can't play football for North Carolina.
Yeah.
Wilkerson's played meaningful snaps for 3 different colleges now that you can include Colorado. But Tez Walker's only played actual game log snaps for one university, Kent State. And he
And for
transfers
2
to UNC,
seasons.
and the NCAA says kick rocks.
Yeah. And I
You're
wonder
right,
how
Tar
much
Heel
of
Run,
this
he got
is
host. I agree.
I wonder how much of this, honestly, is them just trying to let their pride and ego get in the way of all of this. Oh, we made a mistake, but we're not gonna say anything about it. We're just gonna keep doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on this, no matter
Well,
what.
yeah,
We're gonna
every
take
horse
it.
is
No
out of
matter.
the barn. Let's just lock up the last one before he can get out too.
Yeah. I don't get it. Honestly, if I was TEZ Walker at this point in time, I think I'm going and I'm going to do something. I don't know if it rectifies and is able to get him onto the field this season. I don't know. I would love for that to be the case for him. I just, man, dude, that the kid's done everything right. He knew that the eligibility could be an issue. He double checked on it. The university double checked on it. Mac Brown's talked about this in a press conference. He's tried to do everything he could to make sure that this process was legit when he did it. It was. I don't understand the fact that when you put in rules for the select few that you want to, we're gonna make a case out of them. But other people, you let them through. You let appeals go through. Just like the Wilkerson kid, that running back. He was one of the ones, he was deemed ineligible until 2 weeks ago or a week ago. They deemed him eligible. They let him go right on through. So
what about
why
the
in the
guy from
world?
FSU? Anything on him? The
I
governor of
I
Florida
don't know.
wrote a letter for him too.
Yeah,
But
I'm curious of what that is. I just wonder if this is the NCAA saying, like, you're not going to peer pressure us, and we made a ruling and just get over it. Like, I wonder how much of this is a power play. You know what I'm saying? Just a power play, just a straight power play. And it just shows them as, I mean, even the national guys, national spokespeople all over the nation, some of the ESPN's tops.
Yeah.
I didn't even see this. Tar Heel Rhonda said TEZ had an attorney president hearing today. Hopefully TEZ sues for NCAA for this. Hey, if that's the case, then great. Maybe they're already attacking and saying, bump it. Here we go.
I think I read
cool.
something that said, court cases take a long time to schedule, and court cases take a long time to, furthermore come to a conclusion. But they could file. Maybe there's a way they can file an injunction that while, they're waiting on the court date and the conclusion of court, that the judge could order that the TEZ could play while they try to figure it out in court.
That would be cool.
But then. What's the chances that he plays more than 1 year anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. With TEZ Walker, like I said, as a fan, and this is what this is. This isn't we're not affiliated with the university. We're just fans of the university. We're sports fans. We love the university, but we're not affiliated with the university. As a fan, TEZ Walker adds so much potential to the offense.
Yeah.
Without him, the potential is slightly less. There's nobody else on that team that is 6'3" and runs a 4.2 40. Nobody. You lose that ability. His catch radius is massive. There's nobody, maybe Nate McCullum, but Nate McCullum's not 6'3". Nate McCullum has only dropped one pass in his collegiate career. He's still not 6'3".
Yeah. And not only that, let's look on the human aspect of this. Let's just take the college out of it, take the Tar Heels out of it, everything. As a fan, yeah, we hate it. We want to see that guy play because honestly, with the way North Carolina's looking, if they have that guy on the offense, holy smokes, who knows what the Tar Heels can do at that point in time. Let's look at it as a human, as a person. This guy came here for a reason beyond football. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's a perfect situation for him to walk into and play football in. That is absolutely 100% the key. But on top of it all, his grandmother. he was helped raised by his grandmother. If I'm hearing everything correctly, he helped. She helped raise him. She hasn't been able to see him watch a single snap in college yet, and he comes to North Carolina. It's not far from about a 2-hour drive for her to be able, to go to. He's always wanted to come to North Carolina. That's number one. And she's going to get an opportunity. She lives in Charlotte, so she was going to get to be there at the Saturday game. She ended up coming anyway to support him no matter what. And thank God the Tar Heels put on and thank God thank God the Tar Heels put on a great show for them, and I'm glad that they were able to see that. Just unfortunate, I hate that he wasn't out there, because if that was the case, they probably would have put 40 up on the board easy. Honestly, they almost had 40 with the 2 drop passes. Potentially, I had 40 points sitting right there, but that's just neither here nor there. Anyway, but she was going to have issues even coming to Chapel Hill. They had made special arrangements to get her in and out of the stadium. Now, we know, if you've been to Chapel Hill and you're listening to this, you know how hilly it is. We took our grandpa up there, and he's older, but he can still get around really well. And even he was having issues. You got to stop, take your breaks for a second. It is what it is. So they had made special plans to be able to get her in and out of the stadium so she could come and see her grandson, a person that she helped raise, someone she loves dearly, someone that TEZ loves dearly. He loves his grandmother dearly. And that was one of the main reasons he came here. Yes, it's a great football situation, but on top of that, it's a great situation for him and his family. And now that's taken away. And let's just say he does get drafted. He goes to the NFL and gets drafted. Guess what? He could be miles away. Unless he gets drafted by Carolina, he could be God knows where across the country at that point in time.
Yeah.
So for him to be able to be local here at home, and this happened, man, just like Matt Brown said, shame on you, NCAA. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Well, even though TEZ won't get to play, the Tar Heels do have a football game to play this Saturday. Let's say this much. The Tar Heels should not, and I repeat, should not have to have something to get them up for this game. This should be a game that they should walk into and immediately be motivated. They should be frothing at the bit to get into the stadium Saturday at 5:15 for the kickoff, as the Tar Heels go up against the App State Mountaineers. Boy, oh boy, the storylines that came out of this game last year. Good God. The game last year, we all know, 63-61. The Tar Heels win after allowing App State to score 40 in the fourth quarter. They go to overtime. A game they honestly they honestly should have lost, considering that the 2-point conversion was just up over the receiver's head. So they would easily have lost this game last year. But this year, Alan, I got to ask you, dude, what do you think, man? The Tar Heels this year, what do you think they do after what we saw against South Carolina? What do you expect for these Tar Heels to do against App State at home?
Honestly, I think the defense is going to come out again and want to make a statement, because North Carolina opened up against FAMU week 0, correct? Right? So that made
we was there for that game. As a matter of fact, that's where we met Tar Heel Ron.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Oh,
Tar Heel Ron.
So the defense didn't even look great against FAMU.
No, they allowed 20 some odd points.
They didn't look good against FAMU. So going to App State, I was still kind of nervous going into Boone. 2019, Boone Appalachian came into Kenan State and won.
Yeah.
So going to their place, you knew that was going to be a ruckus environment. Drake May's a freshman quarterback, and boy, that game lived up to everything. We were up.
I actually believe that that was 40, the first Power 5 team to walk into App State was North Carolina, if I remember that correctly. I think so.
North Carolina was up 20.
Yeah.
41 to 20, I believe.
Yeah, I was at a buddy's house sitting there thinking like, oh, well, that's the game. Turn the phone back on, and daggum, it's tied.
And yeah, so it was all down here from there. But North Carolina's defense got exposed. And that's when the whole narrative changed that during that season that North Carolina's defense was just flat out bad. And no matter how good the North Carolina defense was the rest of the year, they were still going to look on paper flat out bad. Well, they lived up to the billing that North Carolina's defense was pretty much just flat out bad all season.
Yeah.
So I think the defense is going to come in with a chip on their shoulder and ready to show, hey, we're not this isn't the same North Carolina defense that you faced a year ago. Gene Chizik looks to have decided to be good at least one thing, and that's stopping the run. After the adjustment for sack yardage to the rushing yardage, South Carolina finished with -2 rushing yards when you include the sack yardage. So that's huge against an SEC team. That's huge. I say SEC team like the SEC is some big deal. Well, I don't think the SEC is a big deal, but everybody in the world thinks that the SEC is God's gift to football. So whenever the ACC gets to take advantage of the SEC, I'm going to be sure to put it out there. North Carolina held an SEC football team to -2 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Rattler still went 30 for 39 for 349, 360. It's either 349 or 365. It's one of those two. I think it was 349. But that was because that's all he could do.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like big. There was a couple explosive plays, but it's not like South Carolina was just running up and down the field.
Mm-hmm.
The defensive backs were giving him a cushion. He'd drop it off in front of them, and they tackle him. Heck, that's something they couldn't do last season. They couldn't tackle last season.
I know that was the big thing that I saw last Saturday that I was surprised with is that they were tackling and they were wrapping up and holding. That lets me know in practice they've gotten physical. They've learned to tackle because, when you're thudding, a lot of times you're just bumping. But, when they brought in those analysts, they said, how do you expect these guys to know how to tackle if they're not tackling? Well, got a point there. Tackle.
I mean, Don Chapman got a personal foul or whatever you want to call it. Unnecessary roughness for half suplexing a guy, which, I mean, I'm not supposed to what you do at this point. It's not like he threw him over backwards. He picked him up off the ground and threw him on his stomach. I mean, how else are you supposed to do when you're behind the guy and the guy's running away from him and you got him around the waist? You're just going to naturally lift up. It's not like he lifted him up over his shoulder and just slung him. He just lifted him up and rolled with him. But that's neither here nor there. But, I mean, I didn't know that was going to be 15 yards. But, I mean, that's a good form tackle 10 years ago. That's good tackle.
It's a great tackle. But
I've seen tackles where they have been suplexed before.
Yeah, dude, when we were in the stands, there was a couple of South Carolina fans in front of us, and daggum, they looked at us, and that was just mean. Like, what are we supposed to do? Lay you down in a bed of flowers? Like, what do you want us to do? Tuck you in?
So I mean, the defense came physical, but on the flip side of that token, Appalachian State's going to come in and be like, "You couldn't stop us at all. You couldn't stop the run. Come in, you couldn't stop the pass." They still have Nate Noel at running back. He ran all over us last year. They don't have the same quarterback. Dude. They returned 3 of their offensive linemen. So those 3, I don't know about the other 2 guys, but the 3 that returned from last season, they're going to be like, well, last year we just pushed y'all wherever we wanted to. So again, the battle's going to be won in the trenches. Can the defensive line get pressure, and can the offensive line keep Drake May off the ground? They did a great job at both last Saturday. We'll see. I'll let you know about 6:00 how the defensive and offensive lines are looking.
Yeah, honestly, I think personally for the defense, they're going to come out the gate fast. And I think they want to. I think they want to prove a point immediately because App State is going to come. App State's known for punching high, man. They punch high, and all they want to do is they want to come in there and impose their will each and every game, no matter who it is that they're playing. You know, they punch. They go up against any team, and they're going to fight them
They're not.
tooth,
I mean,
nail,
they're
and
not
claw.
scared.
Yeah,
They're
there's
a
something up there in the
well-coached
water up
team.
there in Boone. Yeah, there's something up there in that water, man. They are about it up there.
They're
They don't care,
physical.
man.
They're fundamentally sound. I mean, they beat what Michigan? Was that 2007? They beat Michigan in the beat Michigan, and Michigan was a big to do program. I think App State was number 1 in the FCS, and they played Michigan for something, or I'm not sure. They ended up playing Michigan and winning. After they took North Carolina to the ropes and Boone, they went down to Texas and whooped up on Texas A&M.
Yeah,
when Texas A&M was ranked in the top 5 before, and essentially that Appalachian State loss took Texas A&M to the gutter. But you know that was neither here nor there when App State went into the Big House.
Yeah.
That's no easy place to play.
No, it's not. It's not at all. And I look at the defense, and everybody has been talking about it. You know, there was a comment that came out that Cedric Gray walking into the tunnel in Charlotte was talking about, hey, they telling us we saw. They think we saw. They think we saw. So obviously this team has got a big chip on their shoulder. Now, they had a great performance, 9 sacks, amazing. They got to bring it into App State. I believe that they will. And I like that comment right there. Carolina Gooner. I'll see if I can't throw that up there on the screen right there. That right there is also going to be another one. Not only do you have
that should be an issue the motivation rest of the season.
Yeah. Not only do you have an issue after last year's performance, but you should have an issue right there. And I hope that we got to see how Nate's going to do. I do believe Nate's going to play. We will see. But I think the offense goes crazy. I think the offense goes haywire. I honestly believe I could see that this defense comes out there, and I'm not going to say they're going to get a sack every single game, but I could see them putting up a similar performance as they did this past Saturday.
The defense better get a sack every game, or the defense is in trouble.
Yeah. If we don't, and not only that, you know, Tayon Holloway, I want to see how he's done throughout the week. He grew up a lot against Charlotte. He was facing a guy in Leggett that really knew what the heck he was doing. He's a daggum good wide receiver, and that's where a lot of those yards come from, was a couple of those big time catches from him, from Spencer Rattler. And he was in good contest in each one of those plays. So I think he'll be fine personally.
The first deep ball, if you look, Tayon Holloway is in perfect position. Well, not perfect position. He ran the route for the wide receiver. I think the ball just hung up in the air and fell short by 1.5 yards. But if you look, Tayon Holloway's right arm was essentially on the football. He was just behind the gap. But we're just going to rewind this real quick. So you were saying that South Carolina thought they were soft. Well, this is how soft South Carolina thought UNC's defense was. South Carolina won the toss and deferred. They wanted the ball. South Carolina wanted the ball. They wanted to go against the defense.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've seen any football team win the toss and take the ball? That's how confident they were against their offense against UNC's defense. And
we kind of saw
3-and-out.
Yeah, we kind of saw that, especially when earlier in the week I told you, I sent you the thing from South Carolina, from Shane Beamer, his press conference. He said, it feels like they're just got this idea. It's just going to be one thing. And I know you said something about him. Oh, it's probably because coaches speak. Nah, you saw it. That what he said was true. So you saw it Saturday, coming right out the gate. App State's not going to have that problem. App State is looking at this game as everybody's talking about North Carolina. All right, wait till we show up. We'll show them and prove them otherwise. So North Carolina made a statement last week. They've got to make another one this week. And then you got to carry that into Minnesota the following week. And then you really got to bring it in and prove your biggest statement for at least the first half of the season is going to be against Pitt. You got to do that. So North Carolina should come into this game, and honestly, they had best be up 2 touchdowns at least Yeah, probably
Yeah.
even more than that by halftime. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying App State's some pushover, but
Yeah, keep talking. I'm looking for something. I'm just
okay, go
keep
ahead.
talking and keep the stream going.
But
Because
yeah,
there's something I want to read in regards to the defense that really made me laugh today.
yeah. But I saw earlier in the dude, I saw Daggum earlier. This is before the season, a little bit before the season. They were talking about the biggest matchups, like the biggest matchups for UNC this year, and none of them were App State. Nobody put in App State, and like App State's Barstool and a couple of their players commented like, "All right, we'll see." Um, so obviously App State's ready to go ready to start. They're going to fight. They're going to fight hard.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
looking forward to
no,
it.
App
I
State's definitely
really
not
now
going to lay
that
down.
this week, I honestly, I'm going to put a lot of flack on the fans, like
Mm.
UNC fans. If you are going to this game, I'm not going to be there. If you are going to this game, you had best be loud. Be loud. Get as loud as possible. Give these guys the love that they deserve. Cheer them on. Keep them going. Keep them motivated. That is one part about a fan base. You can do is you can keep a team motivated um, in bad moments. And I thought, man, I know up in the upper decks in Charlotte, me and you was having some fun. We was having ourselves a good time up there. We was loud. We was loving every single play. We was chomping at the bit, and that's exactly the kind of energy we need from the Tar Heel fans in the football and the football program. Because the basketball program, well, heck, we already know. Everybody's
Yeah.
excited for basketball. Everybody's going to get loud for basketball. Obviously, basketball has
Yeah.
rewarded us time and time again. It's now time for the football team to get some love because they need it. They flipping need it, especially when you got a buzzsaw like App State coming into town.
What's that clown's name that writes for that works for 247 but writes for South Carolina?
I don't know. There's that. I don't really care for.
He's always on my X on the For You page, and I don't even know why.
He's on 247.
He's a 247 writer, but for South Carolina.
Is that Josh something or something like that?
I thought it was something Crawford.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I know. Oh man, what's it? What's that? Not David Crawford. I just saw one of his things.
Oh, I saw one
the other day.
today. Anyway, it was. So I don't know if you listened to Cayman Rucker's post game interview.
I did not actually.
So Cayman Rucker said, they was asking him, how he felt about the game, this, that, and the other, or how he did so well. And Cayman Rucker came out and said, essentially, he was like, I figured out that the tackles was giving away what they were going to do. He said, for most of the plays, I was pretty confident if it was a running play or a passing play. He was like, that's how I got off the ball. So they took that, and the 247 site for South Carolina just had a dumpster fire field day over. Because, one of the analysts that works for North Carolina came from South Carolina.
Yeah.
So basically, they started accusing that. What was it? Kitchens? No, Freddie Kitchens didn't come. What's the other guy's name? Freddie
You
Kitchens.
talking about one of the analysts?
Yeah, they had it.
Clyde Christensen.
Was that him? Did he come from South Carolina?
One of them did. I think actually it was Clyde. It wasn't Ted Monachino. I know that much. No, Clyde Christensen was playing. He was
Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens. It was Freddie
came from
Kitchens.
South Carolina?
Yes.
He was a tight end coach over there for South Carolina last year?
I'm not sure what he was a tight ends coach
Huh.
for. I'm not sure what he did with South Carolina.
I'm surprised.
But they were mad saying that he went and just told everything about South Carolina's plays, and that's how UNC's defense was so good and getting so many sacks and tackles for loss because he tipped the signs on their offensive line. And they actually asked him about it in his interview yesterday, and he was like, seriously? He was like, and then everybody on North Carolina side, well, didn't they get a new offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be
Loggins.
different? Would it not be different?
You would hope, but the thing about
It's
it
not
was South Carolina, or what they call USC Barstool, was over there saying, "Oh man, what was their offensive coordinator last year? Daggum, what was that dude's name?
Satterfield.
Satterfield. Oh, the Satterfield's got his hands all over this playbook." I'm like, then talk to your daggum, your OC,
Yeah,
man.
You don't remember when I was talking to the South Carolina guys? I bet y'all wish y'all had Satterfield back.
Oh man,
They
dude,
didn't
honestly,
like that too much.
Dude, Chip Lindsey, man.
I like
I
him.
like him. He's got
I'd have liked
so
him even
many
more
cool.
Walker.
Oh, dude, yeah. Dude, he surprised me so much with all the trickery they had going on. Man, I'm looking forward to this week's game, dude. I'm really looking forward to this one. You know, I'll be at UNC Minnesota next week. That I'm looking forward to. I want to see how Minnesota does again this week. You know, see what I don't know who they play. I have to check who they play, but you know, keep an eye on them and see.
I think it's a
I know
game.
They've got number 9, one of their wide receivers. Man, he's pretty legit. Like he's pretty legit.
Well, they only scored 13 points or 17 points, something, 15, something.
I don't think they
Not
have
enough.
a good QB. I think their QB is kind of questionable. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, dude. You know, this week's gonna be a great game. I think. I like the UNC's rocking the white, blue, white, like they did last year for FAMU. I enjoy that colorway a lot. You know, if you haven't saw the colorway video that we done, I think it was the very first video I posted up on this channel. Be sure and go check that out. We had a good time with that, dude. But any more closing thoughts on App State, man, or what you want to see from the team?
No, I honestly think that North Carolina probably wins this game by 20 plus points.
They better.
But here's another thought. TEZ Walker's former head coach at Kent State now coaches for Colorado.
Yep, I saw that today. I think he's the OC at Colorado, right?
He can coach, but TEZ can't play.
And you know, that's something that needs to be talked about, is the fact that daggum, these coaches are allowed to go from place to place, no matter how many times it is, doesn't matter.
They can leave it, go to a different place every year, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think that's something that needs to be looked at. If players can't move, coaches shouldn't be either too. You know,
not freely.
What do you think that they should do with the ruling? You know, when it comes to this ruling with transfers, do you think there should be a ruling against transfers, or do you think it should change?
I mean, just make it like the grad students. Grad students can go, if you got eligibility, just go. If you have eligibility and you don't feel like you're getting the playing time that you want, even say you get recruited by Alabama. You go to Alabama. You end up 3rd on the depth chart. Well, then later that year, they get somebody that committed at the same position as you. Well, who's to say that you're not going to be 3rd on the depth chart next season? So you spend 2 seasons on 3rd on the depth chart, hardly ever see the field. You transfer out. Okay, well, say you transfer to you're recruited by Alabama, so you're on Alabama, so you're a decent prospect. They're not taking bums, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So say you transfer to Florida. You play at Florida, but then you get hurt. Then they recruit somebody in your position. Well, you're like, well, I know I can get back, but they already have somebody that's took my spot. So am I going to get as much playing time? Like, if you're a highly touted recruit, you have aspirations of going and doing this professionally, correct? Yes, you want to do this professionally. If you're good, they will find you. It's the same thing with baseball. It doesn't matter. Baseball, it doesn't matter. If you're good at baseball, you will be found out eventually. A lot of baseball players are drafted out of high school. If you're good enough, you can be drafted out of high school.
Yeah, UNC just had
if
one
you're
of those
good,
guys.
they will find you. TEZ Walker probably could have stayed at Kent State and been just fine. His stats would have spoke for themselves. He might have been drafted a little lower because the competition was as high. But he did. All his coaches left, so he's like, well, dang, I might as well move home. Let my grandma see me play. But that's frowned upon now because he tried to make his situation better. If you can make your situation better, just go make your situation better. Because every football season, there's going to be transfers in and there's going to be transfers out. Why? Because everybody gets at least one free transfer. If you're a graduate student and you have 2 years, graduate school's 2 years. So essentially you can play 2 years. Say you play 2 years for UNC. Then you transfer to Tennessee. That's your one free transfer. You play 2 years for them and graduate from Tennessee. Well, guess what? If you want to be a graduate transfer, you can go to a graduate school at, say, Harvard, play football team for them, then finish your graduate at Yale and play football for them. How many schools is that? 4? Doesn't hurt. Because guess what? You're a graduate transfer. You have a diploma from one college. But if you don't have a diploma, you're gonna have to wait a year, Sonny. Why? Because I said so, and that's what I think is the best thing for you.
Yeah, I don't like the ruling that people have control over that, especially when you're trying to move for selective reasons. TEZ Walker definitely could have stayed at Kent State. He was already making a name for himself there. I mean, people were starting to find out about this kid. He was already a prospect, and then he come over to North Carolina just to come home. He didn't have to come here. He did. He chose to come here because he wanted to come closer to home. And now that's got taken away from him. I heard a thing where they were saying that people inside the committee thought that there was potentially it was going to be with if they were to allow him to play, it was going to be potentially what they claimed as a team advantage, like a personnel advantage. Like with TEZ Walker on, it just creates this massive advantage for the team. Then they're unbeatable. I'm like, no one's looking
unbeatable.
Nobody's looking at North Carolina as this Alabama.
They picked UNC 3rd or 4th in the ACC when they thought they had TEZ Walker.
Yeah, you still had Florida State and Clemson over them, even with TEZ Walker. Who knows if you still beat, let's say, Florida State right now. Let's just say you get by Clemson. Who's to say you can beat Florida State? I mean, look at what Florida State is right now. But it's some sort of personnel advantage. I don't like that. I think it's bogus. It's honestly really soured this whole week, honestly, at this point in time. I mean, it just – I don't know what's going to – I'm ready to get to next week, get this over with, just get on to next week. And next week's going to be a fun week. I get to go to Chapel Hill next week. So I'm looking forward.
This is the last thing I'm going to say about this. Here's a little quinky dink for you. How much money do you think Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, made as a governor?
As a governor?
As a governor.
I don't think they get paid that much.
$185,000 a year as the governor.
Yeah.
The previous president in the NCAA, how much do you think he made?
Probably a few million.
2.5.
Right.
So you would figure that the president, Charlie Baker's probably making $2.5 million, correct?
Right around, give or take, probably 3.
You know, he's probably coming in the door at least around $2 million. We'll just say
Yeah.
$2 million.
Yeah.
So you got, and I'm not saying, he knows. He probably doesn't have. He can make a decision. He's the president of the NCAA. He can say, hey, just let him play. Everybody hates us. Just let him play. But he's not. So basically, you're telling me that people that make millions is dictating the future of a person that has potential of going pro. Okay, say TEZ Walker sits out this season and is like, man, my draft stock's really low. It's not as high as I want to. I'm not guaranteed money in the NFL. I need to play. I'm going to play next year, and I'm going to show them what I got. What happens if TEZ Walker tears his ACL 3 games into the regular season? You just cost that man millions because you didn't want him to play this year.
No.
But yet you're sitting up in your ivory tower making millions. And that's not just about TEZ. It's about every NFL prospect that the NCAA has told no. You're going to sit here. Why? Because I said so, and I made these stupid rules that I just think should be right.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's just dumb.
And I look at it like this, if you're a 2-time transfer legitimately, all right, there's a rule there. But if you're someone like in TEZ's situation that has had these unfortunate events keep happening, and then you decide to go home when he only played for one school, that's a whole. And not only that, it was before the ruling anyway. I don't know.
Oh, and by the way, TEZ has already tore his ACL once.
Yeah, that's what got him gray shirted at East Tennessee State. That's what got him gray shirted there. That's why he wasn't able to go there. They deferred him. And then he went to UNC Central. Daggum. No football program. Go to Kent State, plays 2 years, looks great, wants to finally come home. He's already an NFL draft prospect at this point in time.
Biletnikoff Award watch list.
Yep. And now
you don't get named to that list because you're no good at football.
Yeah. But since he is good at football, North Carolina with him, North Carolina's just unbeatable. Get out of here. Anyway, I've had enough. I've had enough
too.
NCAA, unless something happens this coming week, I don't expect
it won't happen this week. It won't happen this week. It won't happen next. Heck, I don't even believe TEZ Walker will be in the news cycle after Saturday.
UNC fans will keep him there.
Oh, the UNC fans will keep him there.
UNC fans will keep him there.
UNC fans have been keeping him everywhere, but it gets him nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, the NCAA have an agenda and they have a point to prove, and they don't care who it is. They're going to prove that point, and if you're in the way, come. That's just the cost of doing business. That's just the way it is around here. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you coming out, dude. We've got some content coming up pretty soon. Got some other stuff I want to throw you away. We'll also do. We'll see how this week.
Got his transfer.
So what?
I said Nick Saban would have had the transfer approved.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thank you all for coming out and commenting and keeping us company in here today. We appreciate that. Tar Heel Ron, Carolina Groomer, Gooner, not Groomer, but Gooner. Appreciate you. Appreciate you all you do here. We thank you all for joining us.
Groomer is going to get you canceled.
Yeah, it'd be all right. But all right, man. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. And Mr. Allen, I appreciate you. Go Heels.
Go Heels, baby.